So I have the pleasure of having a really awesome conversation with these two men who I feel like have a lot of alignment with authenticity. And I appreciate that our conversation today is going to be around walking through fear with conviction.
Mhm.
I would like to introduce my co-host, Nasheed. I am Lazina. I am your relationship repair guide. I love to work with people in getting back to love after conflict. And my co-host, Nasheed, please take it away and we will introduce Gerren, who I think embodies authenticity in a very, very beautiful way.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So for me, it's like I'm a certified life coach and a professional speaker as well. And apart from that, I have almost a 7+ years of entrepreneurship journey. I help companies in the tech areas like AI, the new generation technologies, and as well. So I see the world is something like from comfort zone to real life stories, from multinationals to entrepreneurship, and I help people at large for the C levels and let's say from the people who are stuck in the business or in the life coaching areas. And about you, Gerren?
Awesome, awesome. This is good to hear. So my name is Gerren Sproul. I am a life coach as well as a transformational coach and a speaker. I'm an entrepreneur also and an author. I have been in the lane of entrepreneurship for 20 years now. I grew up in a household of educators and business people, so I love to learn and I love to share. And I live in the Orlando area, Orlando, Florida, that is. And yeah, my life is all about just being me out into the world. So glad to be here.
I love that. I love that. I find that Nasheed and I came together maybe a year ago and we met to do we both gotten like our coaching certification and we're part of this group and I wanted to meet people all over the world. So I was like, you know what, let's do coaching exchange. And um I think it's one of the best things that I've ever done because I've gotten to meet so many people now and we're having these kinds of conversations that once was very scary for me to even be on the Zoom call on recording, talking to men as well, even embracing myself and like radically accepting me and and remembering who I am, stepping into my power and not doing it scared as well has been a very rewarding experience, but
Sure.
it didn't come from it didn't just come naturally. It's something that I had to build up my muscles with power muscles. So, today conversation, we really wanted to dive into, how fear shows up I think how fear shows up in everyday life in general, but especially in the world of doing it differently, in the world of stepping into, out of the pond and into the ocean and embracing what comes along the way. So, when it comes to personal development or where did I go? Okay. When it comes to personal development or business ownership or someone just living in their purpose, we have to face so much. And it's a beautiful way of seeing ourselves and others, but also, just witnessing us. So I would like to know from both of you, how how are you both becoming the heroes of your own transformation?
Hmm. She, please.
You
Oh,
start.
he just passed it. Oh, look at
No, no way, Karen, you can start.
Oh, okay. So the question is, how am I becoming the hero, you said?
yeah, of your own transformation.
Good
Or
journey.
how did you become? Past,
Yeah,
present, all of it.
yeah, and I appreciate that question. It is an ongoing event. It's a journey. And my friends and I, we call it the highway with no exits, right? Where we're on it and we are committed to the journey. And I love it because along the way, I see the opportunities for carpooling. for instance, just like you did, Lazina. We are here talking. Nasheed, I'm meeting you for the first time. We are now carpooling on this journey for this season of our life, right? And who knows when we're going to kind of like pause to address something or to take some pictures because we're enjoying such a miraculous image on this journey. But together, while we're in the car, while we're talking, radio's turned down. We're listening to each other. We're learning of each other. We're sharing ideas and experiences and emotions, things that will help us along the way. So for me, I look at this as such a beautiful time in life, because I'm open. I've gotten to the point where I'm open. I'm willing to share. I'm willing to be vulnerable, and I get to experience all the creativity of life. When I look at you and I see your faces, I see stories, I see experiences, and it's like, man, I wonder what's behind the facade, and being able to be curious, to kind of engage and ask questions and have that received. I really acknowledge that, and I hold it sacred. So I appreciate this journey of transformation. How about you now, Nasheed? Is it okay?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to miss, right? So for me, it's like I change my listening pattern, right? So every time I meet people, I want to listen their stories, and when I listen their stories, I learn. I learn how they grow. I learn how they made mistakes, and I am not really fascinated by seeing all the tractions. I don't believe in the red pills and the blue pills in the matrix, like you will have the red pills and you become that. So
Mhm.
persistence, courage, as well as the patience is the key to success. And for me, I listen to the people, right? So listening is very important. Like I listen to the people and then I try to solve the problem in my entrepreneurship journey or in the tech journeys or in the life coaching. Because if you are a life coach, you need to have a good listening capacity, right? So for me, from becoming a transformational heroes or for what I was, right, it's like a very good mindsets to be changed. You have to let your egos, right? And I really achieved that because I had a lot of egos in the beginning, right? So working with the multinational companies, not looking at the people or the companies, right? So when I left that, I left and I wrote it down like 1,000 times. Like I have to leave the egos. I have to be a persistent. I need to listen to the people. Yeah. Back in my days, I talk more rather listening. And at the end of the conversations, it's like, oh, pointless. I didn't hear your stories. Why I'm missing there? Why this have a loose couple of everything, right? Why I'm not connecting the dots? Then I realized I need to do a couple of things. Ego, listening to the people, reading their stories, and reading and learning from there and learning from the mistakes, right? So every time we do the mistakes in entrepreneurship journey in your life and everything, and that make us to grow bigger, right? So that's my stories, but I'm not here to tell all my stories right now, and I'm just listening to yours and and learn about.
Yeah.
Understood.
I thank you both for sharing. I appreciate, I share the same sentiments. Um, and Gerren, I love your analogy of being in the car. I like to, I have my own similar analogy. I was like, life, it's like we are on this road together and we're all driving. We have our own car. Sometimes we're in the same car. And sometimes one of us, we have to go in a different direction, and we get off the exit, but then, we may meet up again in a different part of the journey. So when you said that, I was like, oh my God, I know what that means. And then I had to calm down a little bit. But as I'm observing and as we've started this podcast, we wanted to kind of share our stories about how life has affected us and how life brings us into alignment. And one of that is I don't hate saying it anymore, but I didn't like that I had to conquer fear, and fear is the biggest thing that stops us from going anywhere. It stopped I keep talking about fear all the time. I feel like I've had 5 conversations about fear today because it feels so good to overcome fear or to do it by being afraid. And given that we have a little of diversity on our call right now, Nasheed is in Bangladesh. I'm Guyanese, but I'm here in St. Petersburg, Florida, and Gerren, you're definitely an island man as well, right? We want to have I'm sure there's people around the world that are are living through fear, and sometimes that stops them and sometimes it propels them. I know for me personally, fear was a great teacher, is a great teacher. And whenever it comes around, I look at the opportunity to see what I can learn from it and how I can grow and what are the lessons and gratitude so that I can also enjoy the journey. So I've learned to love it. So we want to share a little bit about our experiences. How has what is a role what is a role that fear played in your journey and a little bit of how it shaped you?
Yeah, yeah. So I have a perspective, if I can
I
share.
like perspective. Please
Awesome.
share.
Okay, okay. So I believe in God. Okay. And fear, I have come to the point where fear, I recognize fear as being a platform. Okay. It is a platform upon which God gets to do his best work through me. When I don't fear a thing, I tend to take steps using my own strength.
Hmm.
Okay. I can do it. All the things that I've studied and all the things that I've learned, yep, I can take it and I can do it. When I'm doing it, there's ego involved. There's what I simply believe that's involved. But I'm coming into a space, meeting a new face, a stranger, and there's an arrogance that comes with me, thinking that I understand your problem so well that I can give you an answer. When I'm fearful, or when I'm standing on the platform of fear, I'm humbled in this moment. And I then lean into God and I'm like, God, I don't know what to do. Or I'm stepping into a room and I'm asking, I'm like, God, tell me what to say. Who should I meet? What should I listen to? I'm in a humble position. And he's just like, oh, Gerren, go talk to this young lady over here. Go talk to that young man over there. And all of a sudden, I'm acting in obedience, which is far different from me moving with ego and arrogance. And as a result of that, things, I don't even want to say optimize, they accelerate so quickly beyond what I would have been able to do by myself. And in those moments, all I can do is say, like, thank you, God, versus it was me. It was me. Look at me. No, I'm humbled. Nasheed, you said something earlier about ego and having to put it to rest and move it aside and so forth. One of the things that I did in order to force my ego to arrest it was quit my job and I became a janitor to clean people's toilets, right? I'm an educated young man, but I am walking into your space and cleaning your filthy areas.
Right.
What's more humbling than that? Than cleaning your toilets, right? So every day I went out and I did that. I had to suppress and like arrest my ego to do an awesome job. And while there, I began to coach my clients. Now I'm cleaning their spaces and coaching my clients on the problems that I'm seeing that they're having. It was such a good space to be in for me and a good space for them to witness the janitor at his best.
Right.
I do all that to share and to show people that you are awesome all by yourself, not based on your title, but based on you just being human. You can be awesome if you would just humble yourself and submit to God.
Yeah.
So when I look at fear, as opposed to letting it control me, it only controls me when I'm trying to do it on my own. But when I submit, all of a sudden, it's the platform through which great things can happen. That's my perspective when it comes to fear.
Beautiful. Thank you.
What's yours?
Yeah. similar. Like I am really have my perspective about the God, right? So when I stuck anything in the fear, right? So yeah, I go to the like we have the five prayers since I'm a Muslim, right? So we have five prayers, right? So every prayer after the prayer, I used to ask the God, like or Allah's, right? Like, hey, I'm stuck in that. How I can achieve that? What I will do? And then I realized the message is coming, right? So the message is clear, like try hard, and you will get your destiny. And the more I connect with the God, right, the more I get the clarity, and 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 the more I get the clarity, then I think myself like, yes, I need to do that. I need to conquer the fear by solving this problem, listening to these people, or maybe I need to be there and call them up and say like, hey, what's your problem? Tell me. I'm here to solve that, right? So what's your biggest fear? What's your fearing, right? You're fearing about losing job, or you're fearing about giving me the contract, or should I do it or should I do it? So I'll do that. So one of my examples of the stories is like we were cracking a deals of an e-commerce company, right? And 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 we were the CEO, right, was about to sign, and before she signed, she asked me a question like, "Hey, you are the partner of Amazon, right? And Amazon really reached us 2 years. They didn't sign the contract, and what magic you did within these 5 months, and let me to sign this contract."
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, I was about to get the purchase orders, the contract right now. And she's asking me the question. Then I paused and told her, like, okay, you are the CEOs, okay? And we are here as a partner, and we will make sure from Bangladesh and our offices in US that you don't have the fear. We will work as a partner and share me all your pain points, and we will answer everything within this time. And if we have anything to be like hidden or everything, we will not do it. So do not have the fear, and let's start the journey. And you know what? She said, like, okay, give me the pen and I'll sign it up. And I said, like, wow, that's good. So the point is, sometimes you need to listen to the stories, and sometimes you need to hear what are their pain points. And every time I change my perspective is something like, let's say, yeah, I have these HRIS or I have these softwares. Do you want to buy it? Or this is a presentation with Baba? No. What I do is, and throughout my colleagues and everything, like, hey, Gerren, like, tell me how you're struggling with the applications in the software side, or entrepreneur, how you're struggling. And then we listen to the struggling points, and they said, okay, why not we show a demo where you can solve your particular areas in HR or in tech, and we can't solve 2 or 3 problems in a day, but let's say you have 5 problems, and we will do it like this. How about that? And then we showed them, and they said like, oh, right, this is the guy, or this is the company, we will have the contract with them. So yeah, pain points, solving the pain points. And as a life coach, you know that, yeah, talking to the people and asking the pain points and helping them from point A to point B, minimizing their fear. And that's the best part, what I'm sharing about.
Understood. Understood. What about you, Lizina?
Thank
Or
you.
are you the one asking questions? Is it okay for me?
Participating too.
Let's go. Love it.
Yeah, you can.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You know, I think for me, I had really not. I think not using my thoughts, using my heart. I learned. I had great examples of how to overcome fear. My grandparents and my family were really good role models of, just doing things and doing them with fear. And my belief system, I witness it. I believe that fear is a great teacher. I've always witnessed that. I've witnessed that, being a teacher. So I kind of knew faith-wise that that fear is a test, and I saw it as a test. And while I had this great spiritual belief that fear is not something to be afraid of, I just didn't know how to do it or embody it myself. I felt like I had the guidance and understood it, but not the embodiment of it. That's where I like to I'm sorry. 1 second. Okay. That's where I ended up learning more lessons about myself, was when I looked at why I didn't understand why fear was still showing up in my life. And I couldn't overcome it. No matter what, I will sit there and I'd be ready to do something, and fear would still hold me back. But I have all this great awareness. I already have all this belief in it. Why can't I overcome it? And that's where I went inwards. And I always like, my lens in the world is, what does it need? So when I looked at what fear needed, I needed safety. I needed, my nervous system was dysregulated. My whole humanness, understanding the humanness of the parts of me that I abandoned, the parts of me that still held on to old stories, where my mind, body, and spirit were not in alignment. So my spirit was in alignment with fear, but my body wasn't, because I never learned safety in the first place. And I didn't know the power of how my inner child showed up in fear at all. So that all kind of rolled into one. And when I realized that I was looking for too much permission, I really had to embrace the human experience to understand how I was going to overcome it. So now it's a little bit different. Fear doesn't hold me back. In the past, it did, like, especially like last year. Last year, I had this moment where I sat with myself and I'm like, okay, I understand my emotional needs. I understand how fear is holding me back. I'm reparenting myself. I'm reparenting my nervous system. I love the benefits and the spiritual guidance that I feel intuitively within myself to take on anything that's fearful. So why am I still in this space? What is the action? I have the divine guidance. I have the self-belief, but what was missing was the action. So I just sat with myself in meditation, and what ended up happening was I needed to take inspired action. I needed to get everything in alignment with me. So I decided to jump out of an airplane. And that was my way of surrendering completely to the process, because for my fear, I still needed to be in control. And I cannot be in control with divine guidance. That's something that's it just doesn't happen. And so I was intentional with it. I went in immediately and I booked the experience. And then it was time to schedule it. And then a week was going by and I was like, no, if I don't do this, I'm going to talk myself out of it. I'm terrified of heights. I said I would never, ever, ever jump out of an airplane ever. I'm like, this was not something that I would do. So I was like, no, I have to face this. And it was terrifying. And I'm allowing myself to experience this because I wanted it to connect with every part of me so that I can just release it. So I got in the airplane and I had the anxiety. I saw how it showed up in my body. I saw how it was coming up in my thoughts and how unaligned it was with my feelings. So I was like, no, we are going to fix that. Not that it was broken, but we are going to get that into alignment. And I got in the airplane, and when it was time to jump out, it was the most terrifying experience of my life. But all I kept thinking was that, holy crap, I am actually doing the thing that I said I would never, ever do. And this is me just completely surrendering. I opened my eyes and I was like, holy crap, God made something so beautiful and I get to experience it. And I would not have surrender or to, I wouldn't have even given myself a chance to surrender and enjoy what I'm going through right now. It was only a minute and it sucked and I would never do it again. But in that moment, it just felt like my entire being was ascended and I was in this moment that was just in pure surrender. And after that, nothing, I'm not afraid of it. I'm not saying fear doesn't come up. It shows up in my body, but me, I'm not afraid of it. I will face it and I will face it and I will face it scared. So, it's like, it's one thing to have awareness for me in the spiritual realm and consciousness realm and understanding how the universe work and all the laws of the universe and every quantum physics, quantum mechanics, all of the psychology, you name it, every arm of the tree of creation. I had the awareness of it, but it was not until I embodied that surrender and be like, that's it. I'm free falling now. This no longer in my control. I surrender to the experience and whatever comes up, I know that I can face it. So that's kind of how that shows up for me.
Yeah. As I listen to what your examples, I began to see the beautiful side of fear, because what happened in all of our experiences is that we saw a new version of ourselves on the other side of fear. So whereas, like, I always believe, like, there's two sides to everything, a paper, a coin, a book, there's always two sides. And listening to your story, fear became beautiful.
Yes.
And just like how you redefined it in your life by taking a step of jumping out of a plane, you gave me an opportunity to redefine fear as being something beautiful. On the other side of it, Gerren, is going to be a new version of yourself, new experience that you will enjoy. Just take the step.
Yeah.
So this has been great for me. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome. I'm glad. Nishi, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't have it right. Yeah.
You didn't jump out of an airplane too? It was just me?
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Someone asked me if I would ever jump out of an airplane again. I'm like, no. My ear hurt the whole entire time. I wanted to enjoy it. I was prepared. The actual experience, experience was great for me, but that act itself, it was inspired action, divine guidance and inspired action, and just went for it.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do like a group spiritual jumping. That'll be nice.
Sure.
No.
So, I think when I think about the audience and who might be listening to us or who I'd like to hear from us, do you have an example of when fear did stop you from going to your next level?
I'd like to think about that a second.
Sorry.
Rashid, if you're ready to go, please.
Okay. For me, like, yeah, absolutely right. I had the same time, like I was stuck, right? I was stuck in when I was class 7. The story is something like, we have like a topic you have to give for 15 minutes. So it in front of, like, let's say 300 people. Okay. So 300 people, and I was in class 7. So my topic was the political situation in Bangladesh. And I was like preparing with the geographies and everything, the politics and others. And when I look at the 300 people, the only word came to my mouth is, my name is Rashid. In 15 minutes, the same old words was repeating, right? And I was like, okay, maybe the audience were very good. They were not throwing any tomatoes, eggs, and everything, because I was in cadet college, we call it's like a semi-military, so you need to wear uniforms and everything, so you have abide by all the rules and everything, right? So I was very lucky, but my team, about my failure, they became third in the third positions out of 3. So it was like a nightmare. It was a nightmare. And then I was like, I was in class 7 and I was crying. And but my fear was like, I didn't let to show to the people. I was with the washrooms. I cried, and I thought of myself after that, like, one day I will stand this in front of these 300 people, right? Because we have this competition again and again in the next years and next years. So it took me 4 years to stand in the same stage in front of the 300 grown-up people, right? Because it was like before 4 years. And the topic was very tough. Another politicals or some areas, I couldn't recall that. And I did a super speech. And when I got the result, it was like, yeah, I got the first prize. And that really pushed me to become a professional speakers back in 2011, when I got an offer. Like, some companies offered me a 30 minutes of speech, sponsoring everything, air tickets and everything, and others. To listen 30 minutes of me took me from here to Malaysia, and all the people from Nokia's, tech peoples, like 100 CEOs were there. And after my 30 minutes of speech, and I told that stories like when I was class 7, I start and now I'm here. And after that, I saw the magic, right? The CEOs came and gave me the cards and say like, nice presentation. Can you please keep in touch so that the next topic we will just discuss, because one of my topic was like to share what are the struggling points of that company and how you can improve. So every time the speaker they booked is told them the stories. Okay, this is the podcast, this is the good part, this is the areas. But I was the one being their statistics, like 2 pages or 2 minutes for how they're gonna improve, and that really caught them up. So that's my stories. That's my stories, right? So, and I find it very inspiring. And I told them like, yes, this is not the time. Like I will say, my name is Nashid for the 15 minutes, but if I gave 2 minutes, yeah, I can tell my stories. How
So,
about you, Gerren?
yeah, thank you. So the one moment that was very transformational for me, where fear kind of held me back, but then I was able to break through, was hiring my first business coach. It was probably 5, 6 years into my business, and I hit a point where I knew it was like a glass ceiling. I wasn't growing. I wasn't growing inspired. I was just working. So I was in business for about 6 years, and I hit a plateau. And man, I knew that I wanted something differently, and I just wasn't sure what it was. And I started searching, and I found a company, and I found a coach, or a company that would provide me a coach. And then they told me the price. And I said, no, I can't do that. I can't afford that. I can barely afford what it is I'm doing right now. And I hooed and hawed and went back and forth. I spoke to my wife about it. She said, I trust you. Go for it. I still said, I can't afford this. Like, I don't know how. All right. Fast forward a little bit. And I said yes. Without having the money, I said yes. And the first question the gentleman asked me was, how much money would you like to make, young man? And I said to him, I haven't thought that far. I just want to be a better human. And he said to me, well, you've won the lottery. And I thought it was pretty arrogant of him, because I saw what my bank account looked like. I saw what I just did in spite of fear. And he says, I won the lottery. We went on a journey together, and I stopped thinking about money, and I focused solely on serving, solely on creating thank you moments for the people that I would come in contact with. And several years went by, and I remember going into my accountant, and he said to me, he says, Gerren, do you realize how much money you made last year? And I was like, no, because I'm not a numbers person. I really don't focus on that. And he said that I had cracked 7 figures. And I looked, and I'm like, okay, what does this mean? And then he went and gave me the whole, do you know how many businesses don't reach this amount, this threshold, like you have done X, Y, Z? And I'm like, I was just focusing on serving people. That's it. And that took care of itself. When I decided to step into being a speaker and a coach, my business still runs. My commercial cleaning business still runs. But when I decided to make the pivot, I was up against another glass ceiling of, okay, Gerren, what are you going to do? And I reached out to a coach, and they gave me their price. And I was like, oh my God, here we are again. This time I didn't take it to my wife initially, right? Because again, it was expanding me. But I took the step. And as a result of taking the step, I get to see another version of myself again, where all I do is serve, and things begin to happen. Bills begin to take care of themselves somehow. I don't know, right? But it's just this expansion. So again, this whole idea of fear, because I've redefined it, when I look back at all the times when I didn't do a thing because I was defining fear as something that should stop me, I noticed that when I did break through it, it revealed a new version of me. And I noticed that when I allowed it to stop me, that's who I was being at that moment in time. So it doesn't fully define me. It's just that Gerren was being fearful, or he was experiencing rejection or something. I get to look at that moment as something outside of me now and appreciate the version of me that was pushing through. And now I look in the mirror and see a new version, and it's like, huh, check you out now. In 5 years from now, I'm going to be a new version again. And it's like, I look forward to that version of me, you know? So it's just this ongoing, beautiful thing that we're all experiencing, man. And I love it. I love the people that I'm meeting along the way. I love the interactions that I'm having with my family as a result of it. I'm embracing the challenges. Man, it's a hell of an experience, man. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Actually, as you were talking, as Nasheed was talking, I made a note about the fear moment for me, and you started talking. I'm like, oh my gosh, I relate to all of that.
Really.
For me, that was one of my biggest fear. I mean, there's lots of fears that we can go through because 18-year-old, 13-year-old me, 18-year-old me, 22-year-old me, 38-year-old me, those were some experiences that are incredible, and the world will hear about them, right? But the one that resonated based on what you were saying, I was a friend of mine was just like, Lizina, you should be an entrepreneur. You have the mindset. And I was like, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I'm scared. Security, stability. I need to have a stable income, and all of this stuff. I didn't know that you can do two. I thought you have to do one, just lack of knowledge. So I remember signing up with this is a network marketing company, and I appreciate what they're trying to do, and the level anyways, I appreciate the multi-level marketing for what it is. I just don't resonate with the recruiting. I do like the product. So I kind of, but as I was going through that time, I was also reading this book called You Are a Badass at Making Money, and the cash flow quadrant, and just rich dad poor dad, just getting into like that mindset that I've never had before.
Yes.
And it was time to like make the investment to sign up. And I was like, man, my insides were hurting. Like I was sweating. I was like, I can't do this. I don't know that I can. So in that book, the You Are a Badass at Making Money, it had some prompts. And the prompts, two of my favorite is list 5 things that you learned about money from your parents and break them down. Where did they learn that? And redefine it, because how does it apply to your life now? Completely like mind-boggling to me, because when I actually did that exercise, where did I learn about money from? From my mom, who learned about money in survival mode, moving from a country to New York City with 2 kids and being in survival mindset and just working and working. Where did she learn about money from? Her father in like 1930s Guyana. Like none of that applied to where we are now.
Mhm.
We're so limited, and so I started to redefine, like, money don't grow on trees. What does that mean for me? The limiting phrases. And then I had to write a love letter to money. And it was the most eye-opening. I was always chasing after it. I was desperate for it. I didn't feel good enough for it. So as I was doing these exercises, I realized how deep money fear is. And if I'm going to teach people about money fear, about a product that can make them money, whatever the case is, right? And I have all these fears, how am I even going to do that? I had to like really look at myself and redefine that for me. So that was like my biggest way to look at fear, look at money fear. And it inspired me to, no matter what we do, um, as far as our jobs or our purpose, when it comes to having a conversation with someone else and getting them to either see the point or see something about their life that's different, or make an investment in something that's for themselves, at the core of it, it's going to be fear. So I chose to serve in that fear. Like, What is it? What is the fear telling you? Why is it here? What does it need? Who does it come from? Whose voice is it? And how do we transform that? Because ultimately, we are currency. What we exchange with each other is the value. Money is a tool. So if I'm going to let money hold me back from doing all of these things, I am limiting my own self. And that's like that's like part of my message that I want to, share with the world. So thoughts.
Receive it. Beautiful. No, beautiful. I love it. I love it. When you spoke, I thought about one of my other clients, who in his role, he leads people and he helps people through their challenges.
Mhm.
But in his role, he doesn't have enough friends or people around him that can help him through the same challenges that he is helping people through,
Mm-hmm.
which made him realize that he is helping people through their challenges by using theory, not experience.
Yeah.
Whole different ballgame when it's experience.
Mm-hmm.
And he is now looking at the growth of the people that he's leading and recognizing that they aren't growing at a rapid pace. Well, he's not growing at a rapid pace. It's reflecting in his team.
Yeah.
So he's stepping into coaching and he is stepping into working on himself and the things that have been holding him back so that he can now lead through his overflow
Yeah. Yeah.
versus theory, So I applaud him. I acknowledge him for taking the step. And I kind of heard that. I heard him in
Yeah.
your words when you talked about yeah, man, this is awesome. Thank you again, both of you.
You're
Nasheed,
very
yeah,
welcome.
thank you. This is really good.
Thank you.
I'm giving the sheet space. I don't know if you need to say something because I can tend to take over conversations and being
Oh,
nice.
that's how you do. That's how you do it.
No,
Can
no,
I?
it's okay, right? You can ask the questions, right? So I'll just fill the blanks later, right?
You're just chilling. You're just chilling. Okay, I got you. I got you. You know, um, there was a time, right, when I so this was like about 6 years ago, and some certain things I can't talk about because can you guys hear that?
No, you're totally fine.
Thank you, my son.
It's okay. We're here.
Okay. So this is about 6 years ago. There was a court battle that I had to have. And I was stunned to know that the way that the law worked is that criminal law and family law didn't talk to each other. So while someone can hurt a member of my family, there's certain aspects of that the family court does not take into account. And so, for clarity, my daughter was sexually abused by my ex-husband, and that ended up becoming a very big court battle. And I was terrified going through the entire process, as not only as a woman, but as a mother and an advocate. I was looking for other women who had overcome this journey. I wanted to see people who are on the other side because I couldn't understand how this could even happen in my family, but also how it could happen in general. Like what is there to do? Now, biologically, there's two other children that the law said that fathers have rights, which I applaud. I think that's a really good thing to have, but it was such a blanket statement that I didn't know at the time, how can I even trust what can even happen here? So I felt like I had to face the law, and then in facing the law, I was being blamed. I was feeling blamed because as a mother, I can't deny my children the right to see who they want to see, and parental alienation, all of those things are real. But the principle of what happened, I was like, there's got to be somebody who overcame this. And I started to look online, and the people that could possibly have overcome it were unreachable. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to be that voice. I'm going to step into this, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it scared. But I was terrified.
Mm.
It wasn't easy. It wasn't, I would go into court and I'd come out and I'd be like, how am I the problem? How is it that I did something wrong? I'm just trying to advocate for my children. I'm just trying to move my life forward. And I found that there are so many women and maybe men too. I haven't really had the pleasure of talking to a lot of fathers who've had this experience to see how they've dealt with it. But on an emotional level, it's difficult. On a level of like society rules is difficult. And then there's this like mindset also that's difficult to overcome. There's just that whole experience was one of the most terrifying things that I could have um gone through in my life. So it but what helped me move forward in that particular situation was I knowing that I'm going to face a lot of crap. I'm going to be seen in certain ways. I'm going to be judged. I was really afraid of being shamed and judged too, but that was also within myself. But I was like, I am not letting up on this. This is not right. Something has to change. And if I have to be the voice for it, I'm going to. I'm going to stand next to every single person that have also been through this, and I'm going to advocate for them. But at the end of the day, my children will know that no matter what, I fought for them. I didn't abandon them. I didn't disappear on them. I didn't take any sides. I chose them and what was in their best interest. So that's kind of my story of like, how I confronted fear and just chose to move on, even when I was afraid. So it didn't stop me. It ended up like, just propelling me to keep going because I'm a mama bear and I was fighting for my children and I was going to fight for them until no matter what, until my dying breath even. And I'd still do that. And I think most parents would still do that. So I share that long-winded story because I want to know, like, what was a turning point in your guys' life where and what helped you move forward even when you were afraid?
Yeah. I experienced sexual abuse as a kid myself. And it was my sister, who was my younger sister or youngest sister, she also experienced it. And it happened, it happened like right there, right? This was a family member, an uncle, and it happened right there. And I only learned of it probably when I was going to college. And it baffled me that it happened right there and I didn't know. But the thing was, I like I couldn't have known, like I wouldn't have understood it. One, because I was a kid. But then two, I was dealing with my own abuse and I didn't have answers. So in speaking to like my mother, wanting to speak to somebody about it, like it was so hushed that I didn't really understand what was going on. So there was so much confusion going on, right? I purposed in myself, like I promised myself that when I get older, um, I was going to avenge my sister's abuse or yeah, avenge that whole situation. But as a mature adult, I realized like that's not the way. This person ultimately died. Okay. Um, but then I purposed in my heart also that I was going to be as big and as bad, as muscular or as secured as I possibly could be for whomever female comes into my life thereafter. God ended up granting me two daughters, my wife, and then my mother-in-law was living with us for a period of time. So I have all this estrogen around me. And I have all this opportunity to go to the gym and be as big as I want to be and carry as many weapons as I want to carry, right? Because in my mindset, I am to be the protector. But then even that carried its own weight, right? So I started talking to my daughters about safety and about how to think through a problem, how to put themselves in the best position ever, because I know that I won't always be around. And I don't want to have the guilt of if something happened to them, I wasn't there. So how can I make myself present without being physically there? Is connecting with my daughters and speaking to them. So I've shared as much as that I can to date, and I continue to share just ways in which they can protect themselves. Even when we go out as a family, I test them by saying, "Hey, did you notice that? Like, what did you see? What did you notice while we were out?" And I want them to pinpoint things. And if they didn't pinpoint anything, okay, that's the point in which we'll work on, so that they're always keeping their eyes open. They're always analyzing the situation so that they are aware, because I never want to experience that again. And I don't want to go to jail. And I'll leave
I
it
don't
there.
want you to go to jail either,
I
please.
don't want to go to jail.
I don't think your daughter wants you to go to jail.
Right, but keeping in mind too, Lizina, that fear that they may have
Yes,
also keep them quiet.
it's true. Good point.
So we've talked about that also, because I don't want them to think, if somebody says, if you ever tell your parents, I'll hurt them, or
Yeah,
let daddy and mommy deal with that.
yeah.
Say, let us deal with that, right? So I pray that they actually believe those words that I say when I say, let us deal with that. Tell us, please tell us. Because I don't want them to have to go through what my sister's gone through, or even what I've gone through, or my brothers. I mean, we've all experienced something. So that's my compliment to your story. That's how I'm working to it.
Thank you for letting me witness you.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I was listening to all of you, right? And I was thinking, like, what are the stories? I have so many stories, right? So one of the thing I was thinking, like, my elder daughter, both of my daughters, right? And the biggest part of their birthdays is like they are on the 15th September, right? Apart from like 4 years difference, they're like 15th September in 2009. Another one is 15th September is 2013, right?
That's
So
awesome.
one of the business, right? The CEOs asked me like, "Hey, Nashid, maybe you have some strategic problems or maybe strategic planning and everything." So I told him like, "All right, uh, you know what about the stories? Like my two daughters born on the same day. So if I don't have the strategic planning, then what happens, right?" And he said like,
Yeah.
"Okay, yeah, that's really okay. Give me the contract and let's say." So the stories comes like my elder daughter, right? She still have the eczemas, right? Severe eczemas and everything. And we gave them a lot of like in the school, we gave them a lot of like doctor's recommendation that this is not like transferable to the other people, right? It's like our own ones because of eczema, right? So it's not like typical, it's a typical skin disease. And whenever the exam comes, right? So we hand over the prescription to the principal. But when she went to the school, the admin called her and said like, you can't give the exams, right? Because you have eczemas all around you and you are itching, scaling, and the parents are really afraid that their children can got this stuff anyways, because the admin didn't get the notice and others. And she was really fear. She cried and everything. She said she don't want to go to the school, even though she have exams and everything. So that we are the parents gave our children a lot of hopes, and also the things like, okay, I'm here, we are here, right? So from the mother point of time, it's like, oh, she said like, no, can we do it and everything, blah blah blah. And I said like, no, let me take that, let me take my elder one, let's take let I told her, right? I still remember that. I told her, like, don't worry about that. Let's go to the school. I stop all my work and everything. Let's go to the school and let's sit to the exam. And let's see if the admin has any problem, apart from like we give the highest recommendation from the doctor, right? Like this is not the itch, this is not the like transferable disease. It's like a normal eczema. And if they don't want to do the exams, let's come back and we will see later. But if you are crying, that's not going to solve you anywhere. So let's take it. And I was there, and and on the way, I was sending the message to the principal like, "Hey, I'm coming with my daughter, all right? And I have these prescriptions 5 days ago, and you approved it. And now admin is coming up with different excuses that she's not giving the exams, and she's only class 3 or 4 year student. And why are you giving her this call fear? And she was crying. And the principal gave me the messages like, you just come by and I'll see. And you know what? After she got the exams, the teachers are calling like, hey, if you have any problems, tell me. If you have anything, if you have any itchings, right? You
Right.
can give after 30 minutes and everything. So the matter is not about the admins and everything. Like the main part is like we need to conquer the fear. And our kids, our daughters, our children are the main part because we made mistakes and we don't want them to make mistakes. I told my daughter is like the father and the mother who always want you to become a better person than us.
Yeah.
You want you, and that's the comfort zone, not the comfort zone. That's the strength we are pushing that to conquer the fear, right? So yeah, and I'm really loving it that yeah, apart from like it's not in the eczemas, but they're struggling because the winter season they're struggling and everything. But the only thing we matter is something like to give them hope. Like yes, it's something like yeah, it will happen, and yeah, if you need to be with your skin with the moisturizer and everything. So we build a community called Eczema Support Group. Right, the parents are really struggling, and we are sharing all the knowledges. Like okay, we did that, but we are not the one who gave you the prescriptions. Like okay, you want to have this medicine because we are not authorized to do that. But apart from that, we can give you the suggestions like, yeah, use this moisturizer, use this coconut oil, or use this stuff. Or winter is coming. What should be done? Taking rest is very important. And giving hopes to your kids. Like not if you give them a fear and anxiety, they will scratch eczemas, right? And that yeah, because it's not your clothes, it's about their genes and the bloods, right? So if you give them too much pressure, so I saw my kids are like skitching around me and they're like, I said like, no, stop it. Yeah, use the pause it and then refresh your mind. And that's really important. Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
I appreciate you guys sharing your sharing, and Ashid, what I want to say is like, and Gerren, this I'm reminded by this because when we did our Breaking the Cycle episode with Tasia, when we finished recording, she was like she wanted to give you a compliment, but she didn't want to take away from what she experienced with you in that moment, and I'm recognizing this in both of you right now. And I appreciate it and I'm thankful and I want to express gratitude that, I could be jaded and I could hate men and I have all of the experiences to say men are crap or, any of those things. And I made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to allow my experiences to taint how I experience other people. And what you guys are reflecting is really beautiful, that how you're showing up as fathers and how you're showing up as men for the women in your lives. You're teaching them how to move through fear and not let it stop them. And that's something that I think is so valuable, especially for me who I live in emotional needs, and our children, we never knew what emotional needs were in our generation. I don't want to speak for you guys, but I don't think a lot of us know what our emotional needs are or were. And I'm now learning that in my 40s. So for you guys to embody that and be the example for the future generation, it's really beautiful. And I'm really thankful that I get to see it and witness it. So thank you for sharing, both of you for sharing.
Thank you for sharing that with us too.
Yeah. Receive it.
Yes. I love it.
Your words. Well, I think we've when it comes to fear and anger or any of the emotions, they're all blessings, because I believe that we have to go through death and despair in order to learn what abundance and gratitude and all of the fluffy feelings are. We can't know what hope is if we didn't lose something. We can't know what death is if we never felt alive, well, the opposite. So while anger is one of my favorite emotion, fear has definitely stepped up in ways that allowed me to, branch out into a more embodied me. And I'd like to know what for you guys, right, and our audience, what is something that you think um what is it that your heart want to say to someone when they're experiencing fear, or if they're not aware that they're even experiencing fear?
Yeah. So for many years, Zena and Nasheed, for many years, I did not know how to process my emotions. I
Yeah.
did not know. And I I defined so many things. So for instance, I was sexually abused by somebody that I loved. And when that person left me or we stopped, I thought that I had done something wrong, that they were leaving me on for someone else. So I defined touchy-feely love and affection as rejection, something that I will reject. Okay. So I did that for so many years. All right. By me doing that, any emotion that would come up, rejection, shut it down. Right. And I kept doing that. So I never really got to experience the blessings and the beauty of rejection. And if you see me doing this, it's like because that's how I feel. That's how I feel it now. Like it's so uh
Juicy.
yeah, man. And it's texture and it's just it's so good. So for so many years I went through that. And I would place like unhealthy choices on my emotions because I'm suppressing them. I didn't know what to do with them. They're all like a cluster, and I'm like, I need to get rid of this, and I'll go do something crazy that would desensitize me to that feeling. All right. I went to therapy. After going through therapy and finally being able to define what happened to me as a kid as sexual abuse, it was so relieving and it felt so good. So that I was able to look at all of the moments when I loved people, but I would reject them. It was just like, Gerren, you had a poor definition of what you were feeling. So I reframed that definition, and all of a sudden it opened up the doors for all of my emotions to come through. So as I feel them now, there's always this moment where I'm putting my hand on my chest and I get to experience it. And because I'm not fearful of it and I know what to do with it, like I have power, I can take it outside of me. The thing that's happening is just an emotion. It's hey, Gerren, pay attention. I can now take it outside of me as a thing and play with it. And like, what's that? Think about it. Like, who told you that? Think about it. Do you believe that anymore, Gerren? Like, no. You want to release it? Guess so. And then I move on. So I've regained such power, but I'm also able to experience so many emotions so that even in the midst of like walking outside, if I feel a thing and I feel like I want to cry, I allow myself to cry. This morning I ran for 5 miles, and I didn't tell you guys this, but I had polio as a kid, so I was paralyzed as a kid.
Oh.
Yeah. So this morning when I'm running and I'm walking, like I even took a video of my legs moving, began to smile. I'm like, I get to walk. I get to walk. Check that out, Gerren. You get to walk. Let me stretch my arms. I couldn't do that when I was a kid. You get to move your hands and you get to see. You want to swallow? I swallowed. I'm like, yo, remember when you couldn't swallow? And then all of a sudden, everything that comes out of me is gratitude. So I pull out my phone and I text my cousin, like, yo, I love you, man. Haven't spoken to you in a while. I love you. Text somebody else. And it's just all this gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. People passing me, I'm saying, hello, good morning, how are you? Right? Engaging because of the allowance of this emotion. So, to your question, I would share with your world or the world, whoever's listening to this,
Everybody.
do whatever it is you need to do to reframe the thing that's stopping you from experiencing the fullness of emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Flip the script, redefine it with something that's beautiful. Just like how we redefine fair today, right? Redefine it with something that's beautiful and experience what happens next. I assure you that you'll begin to experience life in such a wonderful way that you'll be celebrating with me. When you see me, I want you to high five me. Like, yeah, that's what I would share with the world.
Like, superb, right? Yeah.
Mm.
And for me, it's different, right? So I I was bound to do the 9 to 5 jobs, right? Because no person of my family is looking for entrepreneurship or journeys or business or something like that. So my father, who was an army veteran, right? And I'm sorry, he joined army in 1967, right? And retired in 1995, right? So all of his career, so he was an army person. So I grew up seeing him wearing uniforms and everything and others, right? And never thought like we'll start a business or entrepreneurship journeys and everything.
Mm.
So what comes to that mind is like when I left my comfort zone, I didn't start my entrepreneurship journey because I was deep in the fear that I cannot do it. I will not do it. And I will fail. So what I did is something like, okay, let's learn. Let learn how the process goes, right? So I joined a startup company, okay, helping their startups to gain their business from 0 to 2x, 3x, 4x, and something like that. And I failed. I failed. No one's
Mhm.
listening because I was selling the cloud services, right? Right. So it's not tangible. So it's intangible products. So I made a script and worked with the Amazon Web Services or Amazons and everything. And then gradually it it see the tractions, right? After 2 or 3 months, we don't have any customers, no one's. Then I thought like, okay, if I want to go to Gerren or Lazena, they don't know me. So what I
Mm.
do is like I call with my ex-colleagues who left the job or maybe start their entrepreneur, they do the business. So I call them up like, hey, tell me your struggling points.
Mm.
How can I solve it? Even though it's $100 and everything, right?
Mm.
So we need to see the tractions. And after 2 months of my like joining in support, the guy who left the job and started the entrepreneurship gave us a business. And you know what? It's $100 or $200 in a day one. Then we add another customers.
Yep.
Then we add another customer. After 3 months, Amazon saw attractions in Bangladesh, and they started like helping us to establish the business. Because initially they were not saying like, okay, you are the same old partners, right? And that 2.5 years, I personally built 2 companies from scratch. And you know the counts? Even though a tech guy, after 10 months, 10 customers,
Let's
4 months,
go.
8 customers. After 2.5 years, then I said to myself that, hey, why should I start the job and why I'm making other company rich? Why not I start my own? Then I sit back and I ask the same question to myself, and the answer is simple. My father is an army veteran. My
Mhm.
brother is 9 to 5 job. My sisters, everyone. And then I met one of my self mentor, right, and sales coach, I can say. I told him like, hey, I don't want to start 9 to 5 job because I know the business. I can sell
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
So he took a napkin and project me, okay, what you want to see the next 5 years? What you want to invest? How many money you have? So he put me a diagram and said like, okay, if you if you start your journey within a couple of dollars, right? Let's say $2,000, $4,000, even the $10,000, right? After 1 year, you can still earn more, right? Even you start the business because you know the markets and everything. Because and that portion of time, what I did is like, let's see the tractions. And I said that. And my biggest fear is like talking to the family and say, like, okay, I can do that and everything. My father didn't like it because the minds and everything. After 2 months, when he see a couple of business and everything, so he gave me a piece of paper and told me to read that page three. So I said, like, okay, page three, okay, I read it. So I put it in my back of the table. I slept. And in the morning, he called me up and said, like, did you read the page three? And I said, no, read that. So I wrote that and I was laughing. It says a journey, how the couple, like 6 figure salary, left the job and started a tea business in India, and they become famous after 3 years. Then I said, like, what? My father was my biggest struggle, right? And he
Mhm.
didn't like it. Then I went to my father and said, like, why you hate me? And he said, like, yeah, I didn't believe you, but I believe you right now. because you have 3 customers, even though you started in my house, in my balcony, but you still have the customers.
Yes.
That really gave me a push and clear my courage, right? I can do that. I can do that. And eventually, it all happens. So you see, we grow by the time, and you have to give some time and spaces and everything. Patience is the key. And for myself, I'm not really fascinated about unicorns and everything because I don't really believe that. So my strategy is more the simple, like the camel strategy. You know that? Like you need to go a long, long run. You need to be persistent. You need to be patient, and the success will come. And by the time you will learn, and you need to have a lot of good people. Like I know where to reach Karen, I know where to reach Lazina, and to know if I have any struggle in the relationship or the money matters, I know where to find her. And if I have any struggling with the business, I know my buddy is like, okay, I need to reach Karen and say like, hey, I'm struggling with that. So you need to have a couple of subject matter people and the real life people, right? Okay, they solve this problem. I cannot go to the doctor and ask like how I start my entrepreneurship journey. So that's the point. Yeah. So that's my story.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
I appreciate both of your guys' sharing and your experience because it's such different perspective and we all have we have different walks of life. So it's almost like I recognize myself in most of your stories and pieces of your stories and all of it. And Garen, what I love about yours is that the way you process emotions now, and it's very similar to me, is it's like you've learned to separate the feeling from the behavior and actually introspect and go beyond the behavior. Not looking at well, this person's behaving, I'm behaving this way, I'm behaving this way, and getting stuck in that loop. It's going beyond it. And like I think I was sharing earlier today, it's like sometimes it's I like to look at my life like a movie. What role am I playing in it? What experiences shaped who I am? Like, what is that journey like? And oftentimes it can look like imaginatively taking my heart out and put it on a chair and interview it. Like, what is it that you need right now? What didn't you get? And who is this affecting? And similarly with my thoughts, our thoughts are what creates our reality and our feelings. So whenever the thought is there, go after it and get back into the heart. So I feel like you definitely speak heart language and you showcase that a lot. And I appreciate that perspective. It's beautiful to witness. And thank you for sharing everything that you did. I love witnessing the journey and I love to see everyone's soul note because we all have something so beautiful and we don't get to it unless we are intentional. So that's really beautiful. And then when you said that it was, your dad was the one who like didn't believe you and you still pushed and you were consistent and even if there was fear, you still stayed the course and you saw and you reaped the benefits and you're you're putting that forward into the world and how you're raising your children and the lesson that you're learning there and the people that you're mentoring and coaching. We're all playing it forward, and that's one of the most beautiful thing that I love about this journey is that our experiences really does matter at the end of the day, and we don't need to hide behind the fear of it. We can embrace it and do it scared, and just radical self-belief. So
100%.
cool, yeah. Well, I thank you guys for this conversation, and I know that we can go on and on, and I'm sure everyone loved listening to us for hours. So, Garen, I reserve the right to invite you to future episodes.
Check with your audience first, okay? Make sure that they even like me being here. How about that?
Well,
No?
there's this way of I think if we worry about meeting our audience where they are, our message might not be heard. So it might be like flipping the script a little bit and let them.
I will shut my mouth.
No,
Okay?
I don't want you to shut your
No, I'm
mouth.
just
That's the
kidding.
opposite.
I'm just kidding.
I don't. I do find value in asking what our audience want, but I also know what
Yeah.
we have. So
Got
Yeah,
it.
absolutely, absolutely. And also the main objective of this podcast is something like we bring some experts, right? we being like you, and also we are sharing our expertise is how we can create our stories and
Yeah.
how we also solve it, right? So we thought and think like, okay, she's the one who have experience in the financial part
Mhm.
and also in the relationship part, and I'm the one who can help from like the C levels or the, let's say, stuck in the life journeys, right? So how everybody's struggling with these couple of points. So if we both, two brain is better than one. If we
Yeah.
can both help them, right, with our podcast, with
Yeah.
the subject matter or the storytelling of you, Gerren, and then we can change the world. And that's the perspective is we are focusing and the platform we are doing and the frameworks we are trying to establish and see how we can change some of the life of our people. And we need to hear the stories. So
Yeah.
yes, and definitely we would love to have you in the
Yeah,
next episode or the
absolutely.
future.
Absolutely. And hey, listen, I know that we kind of rock similarly, Nasheed, in the lane of life coaching, transformational coaching. But I do want to, if I may, I'd love to give you guys an offer, make an offer to your audience. I'll gift you 4 90-minute complimentary calls to anyone in your audience. If anything that I said resonated with them and they felt um, that they would feel comfortable sitting down and speaking with me for 90 minutes, I'll gift you guys four. For anyone who would respond within 7 days of this podcast being posted. How about that? Is that okay?
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank
Awesome.
you. That's very generous and an awesome offer. I'm gonna actually start doing that too. Thank you for
Sure.
inspiring that.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna
Absolutely.
steal it.
Do as you may. Do as you may.
Yeah. So Nasheed, will you kick us off? No.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Karen. Thanks, Lazena. And we just loved it. And your stories really
Mhm.
inspire. And the conversation is like a free flows, sharing knowledge, sharing your stories, how you scale up the business, about your families, and how you tackle all the areas. And we really loved it. And super good. And love these conversations. I know it's 1.5 hours, right? And we
Mhm.
can keep going with another 1 hour, right? So yeah, the conversation is superb and it's similar, Lazena, right? So I'm really, really love to be a part of these conversations and be a part of this podcast. And we have some exciting episodes coming. So yeah, hand over to you, Lazena, right? So
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, if this episode resonates with anyone or they would like to join the conversation, share it, subscribe, like, let's spread the joy. Like I'm gonna take your saying, Nasheed, like Barney says, sharing is caring.
Right.
We'd love to continue the
Absolutely.
conversation and have more of these. And I will put all of our contact information in the show notes as well as Gerren's really awesome offer. I am thinking about taking advantage of that myself.
Yeah.
So
Good.
I appreciate you all and thank you so much for sitting in gratitude with me and experiencing the human experience together. And we'll see you on the next episode.